So the US midterms were last month, and they played a big role in reviving my interest in American politics. If you've seen any other videos on my channel, you'll know that I'm more of a world affairs kind of guy. So the 2020 election was actually the first one where I was eligible to vote, but I ended up not doing so. I was not in a good mental state at that time for a number of reasons, and I was trying to already balance doing college work and having a part-time job, and I just didn't have the motivation to go stand in the queue for a couple of hours. And in my head, I was just like, "Oh, what's the point? What difference does my vote make? You know, New Hampshire's gonna vote blue no matter what." And in my mind, all I was thinking about was the presidential election and nothing else. But last month, I did go out and I voted in my home state, Senate, House, and governor elections. So I think this is the safest time to make this video. You know, we're halfway through a presidential term, and hopefully I'll be spared of any comments calling me a partisan hack or racist or whatever buzzword they've come up with this week. The Electoral College is the system used to elect the president of the USA. It's not directly decided by the people, but instead votes are given to each state, and this ensures that each one gets his own voice. Many people are opposed to the Electoral College, particularly after the 2016 election, arguing that it gives smaller states an unfair advantage, but that's kind of the point. If we abolish the system, the smaller states would be completely ignored, and the presidential candidates would focus all their attention on the big cities, and nobody else would be accounted for. I'm sure many of you have seen this map. It does a great job at showing which parts of the country would hold the cards in a direct democratic vote. Start over here, you've got all of metropolitan New York. You've got all the areas around Philadelphia and DC. A bunch of sorted places in North Carolina. Everywhere around Atlanta. Down here you've got Miami and Orlando. Flyover states you can just forget about. You've got Cincinnati and Columbus and Detroit, and I think one of these is Flint. Though honestly, Flint can use all the voice they can get. Isn't that right, Barack Obama? Chicago. Over here we've got your Dallas and Houston and Austin. And of course, right here we've got America's Paradise, Los Angeles, San Francisco, San Diego, San Jose, whatever. Just the absolute peak of American society and exactly who you want to be deciding the future of your country. So what I'm going to do in this video is a deep analysis into the demographics of the most populated areas of the United States, and show how much they skew from the general population. Census.gov provides detailed stats about the population of each county in America, and it lets you look at many counties at once, which definitely saved me a lot of time when putting this all together. I've linked the Excel sheet in the description. So let's take a look at the results. First, let's take a look at the age demographics. So the blue bar represents the general population of the USA, and the orange bar represents the representation that the people would get if the Electoral College was abolished. So first we have under 5 and under 18, which of course aren't that important because they cannot vote. But on the right you have female. General population is 50.5%, and then it goes up slightly to 51%. But then with a bit of a bigger margin is the decrease in the representation of people who are 65 or older. So 16.8% of the general population, but 15.3% of the counties that would have the power. 1.5% might not seem like a lot, but remember that this represents millions, like literally millions of American citizens, and you shouldn't be deceived by numbers just because they appear small. It does make all the difference. Next, we will look at the statistics for race. Non-Hispanic white people make up 59.3% of the population, but under direct democracy, they would be a minority in the representation, going down 14% to 45.1%. Meanwhile, Hispanic, Asian, and Black people would all have their representation increase. Hispanics from 18.9% to 26.8%, Asians from 6.1%, that's a 3% increase, and Black people make up 13.6% of the general population, but their representation would be 19%. So if you're part of any of these groups, you would benefit from the special treatment that democracy would provide for you, but for everyone else, it's a different story. Both Native American and Pacific Islanders have their representation slashed by over a third. So don't be surprised if the liberal elites start proposing more pipelines. Here are the demographics of certain groups. There's a bit of a decrease with veterans. They make up 5.4% of the general population, but only 4.3% of the representation. Again, keep in mind that 1% still translates to millions of Americans, and these differences will add up, as I'll get to at the end of the video. People who live in America but were born abroad will have their representation go from 13.5% to 21.3%, and people who do not speak English at home go from 21.5% way up to 32.4%. And where do you think their interests will be? Continuing on with group demographics, the high school graduates decreased from 88.5% to 87.2%. College graduates go up quite a bit from 32.9 to 37.2. People with disabilities go down a bit from 8.7% to 7.3%. And people with no health insurance go from 9.8% to 11.4%. Which means that if they need healthcare, it's coming out of your pocket. The last section that we'll look at is business ownership. There's just one bar for each category in this graph. What it shows here is the percentage of businesses that are in the selected counties, and whether it's male-owned, female-owned, minority-owned, or veteran-owned, they're all less than 50%. So it's going to be more people employed in less businesses. It's down with your mom and pop shops and up with the liberal elitist corporations, and we've already seen the detrimental effects of such a business environment. So what do all these statistics mean? What difference does it make to the outcome of the election? Well, let me show you. There's a total of 99 counties out of over 3,000 that would represent everyone in an election without the Electoral College. 76 of them voted Democrat in the 2020 election, while only 23 voted Republican. But if you add the votes of each county all together, take a look at this, 74.5% voted Democrat and 25.5% voted Republican. That margin is higher than any US state and is second only to District of Columbia. So come on, guys. The majority does not get to decide the rights of the minority. We're not a democracy, we're a constitutional republic, mob rule, and we are the silent majority.